Hey. All right, Kay asks a really challenging question. Oh, do I want to get into this? Did God design cancer? COVID-19? Other dis-ease, dis-ease, and difficulties? Woo! I'm going to be telling you what I think in a second, but I like that disease. I actually looked up the etymology of the word, and it's 1400s. It used to be kind of a anything that's lack of, or dis meaning away or from, or lack of ease, comfort. So it could be discomfort, inconvenience, want of comfort or whatever, health or anything. Later, like I can't remember, sometime hundreds of years later or whatever, ended up being used in our vernacular more of just sickness. You got a disease. But it used to be just dis-ease. So I'm glad she mentioned that. She knows the etymology, I believe. And then, she put in parentheses like God's perfect design of the world. Yeah, what happened to the perfection of the world? Did God create it this way? Did God make it like this? Did he create cancer, COVID? Oh my goodness, I don't even know all the diseases. I still, at a, I'm right now doing this video at 61 years old. I still hear of new things. Of course, I'm kind of slow and stuff. And so, what's that? Someone says some word or a huge long medical term or something. Anyway, tons of different diseases and then you go into what about all the disastrous things in nature? Everything from, who knows, tsunamis, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, um, storms, tropical storms that are horrendous, on and on. Freezing weather that can kill, too hot, too cold, It's just, then she mentioned difficulties. All right. It seems like the list is unending, of what the pain and suffering and everything. So, you think I can answer this question? Or she's off giving me my opinion, my thoughts here. So, I'm going to attempt it. And it may not be satisfactory. And it's controversial, it's one of these things. And so you may not agree. I'm right. No, I'm just saying. You may not agree and you go, well, I'm not sure about that. I'm not either, okay? But I'll stab at it. Year down the line, 5 years, 10 years, however long I live, Lord gives me breath, I might change my mind. I might scrap this video too. All right, so let me give you there's probably more than three as I think about it. And maybe as I'm going down, I'll give you, other theories. Excuse me. So it's not like, let me say, first of all, it's not like the Bible says well, it might, it depends. I'm doing a survey in my mind, but it might not say, God creates this, although there are times of that, it seems, and yet I want to offer my thoughts here. All right. So here's a question. Does God, I'll just title it like that, does God, and that is all the above stuff that I just said. One, God. Here are the theories. God is sovereign. He does all of it. He rules. He absolutely is in control of nature. It's not Mother Nature. It's Father God. Or diseases. He's the one that put sickness on you. He's the one that created the COVID crisis, pandemics, epidemic. Epidemic is nature, more of a country or something. That's it. You got an epidemic of something. Then you have a pandemic. Pan means all, everywhere. So, all right. So, two, well, let's get some blame towards, there is a real devil. You might be laughing right now if you're looking at this as, yeah, right, devil with horns and tail and all that. Yeah, right. I'm not going to go into sometime I maybe can do a video, and maybe you could put in your comment section, yeah, go into that, It'll stir me to go faster and all. But the devil, is there a devil? Does he do it? Does he cause sicknesses? Is he the one that's doing it all? He's the bad guy. God's the good one. He's the bad one. He's got the good hat on. He's got the bad hat on. Definitely there is religious thought that was Christian thought, Christian schools of thought that says, yeah, all evil comes from him. All good comes from me. He's a good God. I understand. Three, And this is where people who don't believe in this and him and people who don't believe in this and all, yep, there it is, nature. We'll call it nature, in other words, just natural disasters, germs, well, sicknesses, all of it. It's just, and this is where some people tend to be the evolutionary thing. And that's why how can there be a God? And if there's all these extinct animals and millions of germs and, God's not behind all that unless he's an impotent God or something, or he's a malicious God and he just did it, he made it that way. All right. So I don't know. All right. You ready? Let me take a stab. Here's what I would say. Yes. Oh, I'm not finished. Yes. Oh, hold on for a second. Yes. Now I'm trying to appease everyone. Like I want everybody to like me. No, that's not my motive. I think there's truth in all of it. I'm just kind of doing a quick overall survey of the Bible, and I don't think it's that clear. I think it's that plain. I think ultimately, yes. Ultimately, he didn't have to have the devil in there. He also made nature. Of course, I believe it changed. And I think what happened is sin. It always comes back to us. And then I could say, it's your fault. Not directly, because, kids get sick. That wasn't their direct thing. They're born with all these problems and they die young and, or diseases just come on, So I believe it's really a combination of all. But I will say this, and I believe it. And people were going to argue unbelievers and all. I believe there really is the origin of all this was from sin. It was the thing that started because I believe in Genesis chapter 1, 2, 3. Well, I like Genesis 2, Revelation 22. All right, so I believe in all of it. Okay. So, yeah, but how involved is God? I'm not a deist where he's way out, not doing any of the affairs of man. He doesn't answer prayers, no miracles. No, it's too much evidence against that. If you want me to talk about that in one particular setting in a video, I'd like to have tried there. I know there's a devil. And here's the big thing the New Testament teaches about sicknesses and all that, where Jesus came and he says, God anointed, it says in Acts 10:38, God anointed Jesus of Nazareth who went about doing good. Remember, God was good. Healing all that were oppressed of the devil, not God. And every kingdom that is divided against itself cannot stand. A house divided against itself, it cannot stand. A nation divided against itself eventually cannot stand, etc. Jesus said that, okay? So, God comes and shows his true nature of healing, of deliverance, of liberation, health, wholeness. He came to make people whole. The word salvation, I don't know how to say it in the Greek, sozoria or sozo or whatever, sozo, is wholeness, health, prosperity and physical and healing for spirit, soul, body, everything, mind. So, yeah, he's involved. How involved? Well, a book of Job, and I know it's a very poetic book, but poetry doesn't mean it has to be all not true, error. God said, go ahead and do what you want. He asked him, I want to do this. And so Satan came and used natural disasters, a wind that destroyed the house, that killed all the kids of God. Who's at fault? Yeah, well, Satan did it. Definitely not sin in his case. Good people have bad things happen to them. God himself testified of that great servant Job. He says, have you considered, he's talking to Satan, conversation, have you considered my servant Job, that there's none like him in all the earth? He's perfect and upright and escheweth evil and fears God, or fears God and escheweth evil, like he shuns evil. It wasn't his fault. Wasn't man. It's not your fault that you've gone through certain things. Some things it could be your fault if you're making bad choices on what you're doing in your life. Okay, so that's why I have check mark, check mark. He's involved. Satan literally did it, but I really come back to him because God could have stopped him. If I have a wife, I hate to say it like this, or if I had a wife and some dude comes into my house and he's about to attack her and, hurt her and abuse her and all. And I just sit there and say, do nothing. Like I'm allowing it. It's almost like I'm willing it. You know what I mean? Yeah, go ahead. And I'm not trying. I don't know if I could take the guy out, but I'm going to try. Sure try. I'm going to try and defend my wife, my boo. So, yeah, there's, so God just kind of allows it. He allows it. There's reasons for all that. And I've said that in other videos, and I can go into it some more if you want. So God, devil, and yeah, I believe that God cursed the ground, it says. And I think that's a really good starting place, a keyhole, if you will, to open up what's happened in nature. It's screwed. And the Bible says in Romans 8, the whole creation groans, for the manifestation of the sons of God. It groans and travails. It's a lot of things. I think it's not just human beings there, possibly. So there's just all these problems with storms and all that, and the weather and all that. So nature's involved. So what's your answer, Gordon? Ultimately, the buck stops at him in one way. Another thing is that ultimately the buck stopped at us when we've sinned and we're rebels under his government. And he uses nature, and he even uses the devil, and he uses things to try and stop us from continuing to sin so that he can make us right. So it starts out, I'll just say this. We have paradise. It started out really absolutely wonderful. Is it S or C? I'm slow sometimes. And then at the end, there's and I don't like this word for this, although there is also in the middle, I'll put right in here, Paul mentioned paradise, like, and probably sort of the same place, third heaven. So, but he mentions it, in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, I think. 12. Yeah, 2 Corinthians 12 at the beginning. So you have the Garden of Eden and then heaven. Heaven. This is his real desire. This is the heart of God. But he uses this and this to produce a race of sons and daughters of God. He uses all this stuff, and he allows, and did he create COVID, or did he create pandemics? Did he create hunger? Did he create this? Some of it is human beings. A lot of it is, they screwed up by doing this and that or whatever, or the governments are involved. That's humans. Maybe I should say 4 humans. I should put them up there. I said there might be more than 3. Humans should be up there. We're a cause of a lot of our problems in our world and everything. So, but diseases, that he literally create them, I'm not sure. That's where, did he went into his heavenly laboratory and made COVID. So I don't have all the answers to this. I don't know if anybody would have all the answers. I really believe that God is very involved. Now, the Bible does say, I talked to you about New Testament, Jesus brought a fuller revelation of what's really happening. He really blames the devil for, a lot. He came to set people free from disease and all that. So the devil's definitely involved there. But God allows him. And yet at the same time, there's things like in Exodus 4, when he's talking to Moses. He's talking to, I love the Hebrew sounds of the names and all this. So, but he goes to, he's talking to Moses, and he says, I'll turn to it, but he said, by the way, Moses is arguing with God. Not a good thing to do, by the way. It's nice to have a discussion. But if you have to argue with God, he'd rather have that than you being silent and never talking to him. But it sounds like I have an attitude on that. Yeah, I probably do. Go talk to God, your creator. Hello. But Genesis 4. Oh, it's Genesis. Exodus 4. Sorry. So Exodus 4, he said this. Okay. And this is where Jesus says one thing, God says another. No, it's just a combination here that God's using the devil, or he's allowing him, but he also kind of let go of it. But listen what it says. He said to Moses, Moses, by the way, says, look, I'm not eloquent. I can't be the spokesman for you. I don't know if that's what he had, a stuttering tongue and all. He said, oh, my Lord, I am not eloquent. Hitherto neither hitherto nor since have I spoken unto your servant, and I'm slow of speech and a slow tongue. Something about his language, he had a problem. Don't you love God? He picked somebody that can't talk, or he's slow of saying things. God chooses this person to do his work on talking. Not to embarrass the guy at all, but to show that I can take your weaknesses and your frailties and your problems, whether it be insecurity or whatever it is that you think is such a problem. He says, no, I choose you, and then I will let my power come on weakness, like Paul said. Says, my power is made known in your weakness and your infirmities and all. Then God said, and the Lord said unto him, who has made man's mouth? I made your mouth, Moses, he said. Or who makes the dumb, can't talk, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? In John 9, the blind man, who has sinned? As the disciples asked Jesus, come across a blind man. They asked Jesus, who sinned, his parents or him, to cause this curse of God? He said, neither one. But that the glory of God might be revealed. You say, Gordon, it seems like there's contradictions here. Seems like it, but it isn't. Everything that if you just walk it out more and more, you'll understand. Like Trinity seems like a Trinity, the triuneness of God, seemed like a contradiction for me. For, what? But now, I love talking about that. It makes sense. Sure, there's mystery. There's mystery in this. Does God do it? There's a mystery here. It's not that clear, I don't think. So my opinion is all is there, and God is in control of all. It's not just some cop-out. The mysterious ways of God. God's ways are mysterious. Que sera, sera. It's not some cop-out, like blame everything on God. But it's a combination of humans, the devil, nature, God, all of it. Ultimately, God is really the one, ultimately really in control and doing his work. Now, on the other side of this life, we're going to have all of us are going to go, aha, light bulb, We'll be able to see much clearer, and we'll be able to have a lot of understanding. It's a fun subject to talk about, but difficult. Thanks, Kay. Anyway, God bless you. I hope that kind of gives food for thought. There's lots of passages all through the Bible. There's one I think it's Isaiah 54 or something. At the end of the chapter, it says, I have created the waster to destroy. It could be talking about like Babylon coming on and unto his people Israel. Isaiah was a prophet of warning. And then the next verse says, let's end in this. It's a really good high note. No weapon that is formed against you. He just said, I've made or created a waster that's a destroyer. Then he says, no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment I shall condemn, or you shall condemn. This is a heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, says the Lord. It's great, really good, meaty verse right there. No weapon is formed against you. So I've come this way, come at you, or created this, and then I'm going to give you the strength and the power to be able to have victory in this. It reminds me again of Paul going in that passage. There was given to him a messenger of Satan to buffet. Who gave it to it? God did, to keep him from getting proud. And Paul asked for that thing to get away, whatever it was, that buffeter, that messenger of Satan. And God said, no, my grace is sufficient for you. So God ultimately is in control. And Job's story is that too. Job said, why? You're asking, that's a great question about diseases and all that. Job said, why? Why am I going through this? I'm right. What have I done wrong? He seemed pretty innocent. God said, I'll ask you a bunch of questions. And if you can answer them, then you'll know what I'm doing. No, we can't know all the ways of God. His ways are past finding out. But God works in mysterious ways. No, but we can know a lot about God. Way, way more than most people, I think, can believe, really know. So we can really know God. All right, great question. God bless you.